everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Andrew Discusses, where today we are talking about the Transformers franchise, but specifically, I am discussing the original Unicron Trilogy Transformers franchise. That would be Transformers Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, the shows that I want to say took the franchise to the next level, but at the same time dropped them back a few. If that makes any sense. So basically, Transformers was this humongous franchise well before Armada hit the airwaves. In fact, if I remember correctly, before Armada came along on Cartoon Network, it was Robots in Disguise, RID, was the last series that I had remembered watching. And that was what was limping to the barn after Beast Machines. And Beast Machines was just a total shit show. I love Beast Wars, but Beast Machines was a shit show. That thing was crap. And I will not hesitate to ever say that either. If somebody asks me, what are your thoughts on Beast Machines? It sucked. That was honestly... I mean, it had its good points. But, overall, it sucked. I owned, like, 2 figures, I think, from it. No, it was 2. I owned, I got a Cheetor the one year for my birthday that sadly broke, because it was really chinsely made, and I had an Optimus Primal, and I just regretted that. I regretted having both of them. I was kind of pissed they never gave this the Optimal Megatron figure, but yeah, I guess they realized the franchise was dead after this, and it kind of was for a while. Then RID came along, but today I want to talk about the original Transformers Unicron Trilogy. As I stated, that was Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, respectively. And I appreciate these for a majority of reasons. For starters, Armada brought us the Minicons, which I love the Minicons. I think that is so cool. Have a tiny little Transformer. Basically, it's like a micro machine or a small pocket Transformer like you used to get in the 80s, but it's an actual different robot from the regular franchise. There's a lot of really cool ones, some of which I kind of wish I would have got my hands on just to have the figure, like Sparkplug, Swindle, some of the Leader 1 that Megatron had, just some of the unique ones I would have loved to have gotten my hands on. But then there's also the flip side to that. Because Armada was, I kind of want to say, at least in my opinion, I want to stress this, everything discussed today is in my own opinion. I kind of feel as though Armada was the show that kind of started sucking the fun out of Transformers a bit. It tried to hit back on the original, what the original series, the G1 series had, but it just couldn't latch onto it completely. And I think that they try a little too hard, but I do appreciate the Minicon aspect of it. It was sort of like Pokemon meets Transformers, and I do appreciate it. I thought that was really cool, but a little over excessive. Not to mention the fact that you could hardly ever get those damn toys on the shelves. I mean, I got the Energon Star Saber, not the Armada one. I ended up getting the one from Energon, but I did get the Requiem Blaster and the Skyboom Shield. Both of those I was able to easily find at my local KB Toys at the time. That was fun. But most of the Armada Transformers had issues. I mean, there was the Optimus Prime that literally could catch fire because it required an RF signal that you had to send from the cab for the trailer to transform, and it can catch fire. I mean, Bolt Matrix even did a video about it, explaining how his caught fire, and I managed to find a couple news articles about a small fire being started and being put out. That was the cause of it by the toy. And it's kind of scary, thinking, again, this was something designed for kids, and here it's just gonna catch fire. The kids watching fucking TV with it. It's just hilarious to think about. Okay, hilarious in a cosmic sort of way, in the fact that they did not do QC at Hasbro. I mean, Hasbro just piss whipped it right out. Said, "Nah, that's fine." Just piss whipped it right out. It was a brick to begin with, but it was a flaming brick. If you're unlucky enough, it was a flaming brick. Wow, it was just so wow. But yeah, so there was those. But Armada brought us I want to say the start of the Unicron, which is what it was. It was the start of the Unicron trilogy, where we were introduced to Unicron. But we also got a lot of really cool Transformers, one of which I did appreciate, and I did have 2 forms of it. Perceptor. And this was the one that was 3 mini-cons that combined together. I loved the Armada version. The Energon version, not so much. I loved the Armada, the Armada version. I loved the Armada version of it. That was really kick-ass. I kind of feel like if they ever remake a figure, I would really like them to remake that one. I mean, it would be really nice if it could move its body a little more, have a little more articulation, and still be the 3 mini-cons that transform into it. But at the same time, it would just be nice to have a redone version of it. But yeah, so that one was actually pretty cool. I do appreciate that one. But then you have the next series. After the Armada one ended with Megatron sacrificing himself as he became Galvatron. He sacrificed himself to stop Unicron, actually showing a bit of humility. And that was the thing that I really appreciated, because I always stand by this. There's always that version of Megatron that always seems like it wants to be good. Like, somewhere deep inside it wants to be good. And you had Cybertron, Megatron that sort of felt like that, and Galvatron was pure, unadulterated evil, but regular Megatron was just like, I'm evil for the sake of, I just want to rule the world, I want to rule the universe. But Galvatron was, I want to extinguish all life in the universe type of evil. But you have Armada, that Megatron was, I want the mini-con so I can take over the Earth and then take over the entire universe and blah, blah, blah. Galvatron just upgraded himself right into that same role, but at the same time kind of felt like, meh. But him sacrifices, I mean, and this is the season that also brought us a lot of uniqueness too. I mean, because you had Starscream that turned to the side of good, and then died at the hands of Galvatron. You had Galvatron basically becoming good. You had the introduction to Sideways, in a way. Yeah, well, the proper introduction, I want to say. 'Cause I did watch Chris McFeely's video on Sideways, the basics. I thought that was kind of cool. But, yeah, you had Sideways that basically had this dual personality, and in a way he was the quote-unquote, and I know I want to say dual personality, but he basically was he was playing both sides. He was this really unique bot, but you also had the whole, oh, here, he's evil, but at the same time, he's evil for evil's sake. You kind of had that, causing distrust in the ranks. You had, I mean, this is also the one that gave us a lot of deaths, too. I mean, there was Transformers that were just getting killed left and right in this one. You had the massive Tidal Wave showed up. First off, I liked Tidal Wave. I thought his look was pretty cool. If I actually would ever get the chance to get one of the toys, I would probably go with the Energon version, and not the definitely the Energon version. The color scheme on that one looks really cool, and I mean the big battleship that splits into 3 parts, not the whatever the hell he became in this latter half. But yeah, I would definitely probably go that route. But still, it was a cool, I want to say it was definitely a cool looking bot. Massive, huge, and under Megatron's control. But Armada just brought too much to the table, I think, too quickly. But Energon really just backtracked on 90% of it. Here you have, this is set in the future, because you have the 3 kids that were the original 3 from Armada, and they're older now. You have Kicker, who's the new human that they partner up with, and I think there was like a girl that he partnered up with then too. And they're tasked with stopping Unicron. Again, stopping Unicron. I liked Energon for the aspect that we had the power linking and combining 2 or more bots together. I thought that was pretty cool. Or at least 2 bots together. You had the Energon stars that gave them power. I thought that was pretty cool too. Optimus had his, really cool form, which, again, that's another figure I think we could really do with a remake of, as a lot of the collectors have nicknamed him Fatimus Prime. I think we could do with a remake of Fatimus Prime. Because he had his multitude little drones that he could combine with, and then Wing Saber for 2 different modes. You had the full-on combiners that were with Super Energon, the Guardians of that. that had drones that they could control. I thought those were pretty cool. And I liked it for the fact that it was a unique approach to what the franchise was doing, but at the same time, it was a middle finger to not only, at least to me, in a way. I felt like it was a middle finger to me. It was good. I liked it. Did I fall in love with it? Hell no. Did I buy any of the toys from it? Couple mini cons. One of the assistant Autobots. It was Air Raid, I think is what it was called. That was the one that I bought. I know I got a couple. Yeah, I got a couple of the racer drone things, but those were from I think it was the Generations line, so I don't think that would count. But still, similar technology. But yeah, I don't think I really got any of the main big figures from it. Not for lack of trying, but just for lack of wanting to. But where Energon, I feel, failed miserably. Besides the ultimate battle between Optimus and Unicron, which I thought was pretty cool. Optimus merging with Omega Supreme and then growing massive in size to take on Unicron in hand-to-hand combat was pretty badass. Don't get me wrong. I kind of felt like it was more of a meh kind of moment there, and I still stand by that. Of course, that was all foreshadowed and basically pissed upon by the fact that Energon just wasn't that great. I mean, don't get me wrong. It had a unique premise to it. It had a unique feel to it. It was the fact that the series itself felt too jarred, at least to me. And I have seen reviews of this, and I have rewatched some of it again so I can kind of get it. You're going from what Armada brought to the table, and you're bringing us those same characters from Armada set years into the future with upgrades, different powers, and stuff like that. Newer characters are added, changed up a bit, like Jetfire's changed into, like, reformatted himself into an actual jet instead of the space shuttle. You had Ironhide, you have Hotshot. We were introduced to to Rodimus Prime. We were introduced to like half a dozen newer Transformers, the whole power linking thing. I like the majority of that, but it's the fact that you're dragging the older characters in, like Demolisher and Cyclonus, and even Tidal Wave, I'll throw him in too. But you're dragging at least Demolisher and Cyclonus into this, and they're just literally coming along for the ride. And I remember Optimus, at the one point, they went to tag along on one of the missions, and Optimus goes, "You can't, we don't have any Energon stars to spare." And they said, "No, we don't need them, we'll stand by we'll fight on our own, because Tidal Wave was our friend." And that showed camaraderie. I like that, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, why the hell wouldn't Optimus have brought them along to begin with? They're going out to try to get Tidal Wave, or at least figure out Tidal Wave. That's a massive freaking transformer. That they're gonna need all the help they can get. It bothered me, but yeah. But my all-time favorite, though, out of it, I have to say, was none other than Cybertron. Cybertron was my favorite of the original Unicron Trilogy. It was my all-time favorite. You had the cool ability of the Cyberplanet keys. While yes, we didn't get any combining in a way, unless you count Optimus combining with Leo Breaker, Megatron combining with Nemesis Breaker, Wing Saber combining with Optimus. We didn't get much in the way of combinations. Those were the only ones. And that's fine. What I appreciate, and I want to stress this if I can, I liked the character designs. I liked Hotshot's design. It looked really reminiscent in a way to Hot Rod from the original G1 series when he was introduced in the movie and then he became Rodimus Prime. I kind of liked that look that Hotshot had. It was like, here's, Hotshot, but he's sort of like Hot Rod. And then when he evolved after Megatron just decimated him, Scattershot, and Red Alert, and he evolved, I thought that was pretty cool. You had Overhaul, who was... I never understood why he was hated by the other Autobots. I mean, I remember watching the episode. I just never got it, why he was hated. He became Leo Breaker. Leo Breaker, I love. That was one of the first toys I tried my damnedest to get. I still own it. I still own Leo Breaker and Vector Prime from the Cybertron series. I did have Optimus. I mean, I got like a lot of the Cybertron ones yet that I bought, even some that I managed to finally get my hands on, like Metroplex. But I did have Optimus. I sadly had to sell Optimus because financial reasons. I needed the money, and he was trending on eBay. I got rid of Wing Saber, mostly because the power linking and the combination, the combining thing, looked cooler on the show than it did in the actual physical figure. And I did have Primus, but that thing was huge, and I had no space for it. It had to go. It had to go, sadly. But a majority of the figures that I wanted, I have. The ones that I don't, I'm trying to find, like Megatron. I have the evolved form of Hotshot, his armored tank form, not the original form. That's what I'm still kind of looking for. I never did get my hands on Megatron. Sideways. This is a fun little fact. I actually had a chance to get Sideways. My local KB Toys at the time had a 2-pack. It was Sideways and Red Alert. And I'm like, I could get this. But I didn't want Red Alert. And I'm like, but I don't really want Red Alert. But I really want Sideways. I should have bought it. I was never able to get my hands on Sideways, and it really sucks because I liked Sideways. I liked that version. There's actually a Soundwave in this one that I thought was pretty cool. A member of Planet X. I know there was a Unicron figure that was introduced with it. It was a small one. I had that, and I sold it. But yeah, I like the figures from Cybertron. Those were really cool. I like the figures. The premise was really neat. It was sort of the whole, we need to find the Cyber Planet keys to put into the Omega Lock, to power up Primus, our literal god, and ask him to stop a black hole from destroying Cybertron. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really cool premise for this, because it caused them to interact with different worlds. It caused them to basically make new friends, expand their allies. I loved the Jungle Planet. I think Velocitron was a bit weak. Giant Planet, though, I love Giant Planet too. Giant Planet was fun. And then you had Earth. The fact that we had, and this is the part with that kind of bugs me. And this is the one thing that I kind of wish that they would have done, because I think it would have been a really, like, the icing on the cake for this series, for this one, at least for Cybertron. Have Megatron turn good, because Megatron became Galvatron by literally engulfing himself in all of his evil energy. Literally taking the armor of Unicron and drawing in its power into himself, and then basically forcing it to expand and become greater than it already was. And he, ventured down to the Giant Planet Key, found it in spirit form, drew upon its power to increase his own, and then bam, became Galvatron. Galvatron, I love the look Galvatron has. It's basically, and I'm colorblind, so for me, I know it's like a white and purplish color is what I'm thinking it is. I liked Megatron's look. I thought that was really cool. It's one of the reasons why I want to try to get the Megatron figure, and Galvatron if I can too, because both of them had a really good look. And both of those characters are cool. But they missed a really good opportunity here, because Megatron, at least this one, could have, had a change of heart. You could have had it that after, he got stomped by Metroplex, and Nemesis Breaker was destroyed. You could have had it that, oh look, here, he draws upon the energy, and instead of becoming Galvatron, Galvatron splits off from him and becomes its own entity, and just desecrates Megatron to nothing. I mean, Megatron just basically unleashes all of his power, thinking that I can defeat you. I am Megatron. I'm all powerful. Nothing will ever defeat me again. Only for Galvatron to basically just spank his ass down. That would have been a really cool idea. And then have Galvatron lead the Decepticons, and Megatron just like wallows in pity on somewhere on Giant Planet, and the Autobots watch the entire fight. And then eventually have Megatron come to realize that he needs to team up with the Autobots. He can't defeat Galvatron, and he's going to be damned if Galvatron's going to take over the universe instead of him, and he will be damned if he's going to lead his, army of Decepticons. They are his Decepticons, not Galvatron's. It was a missed opportunity, and I think if they would have did that, both in the Japanese version and in the American version, that would have been really cool. have Megatron kind of go full circle and go, look, I'll help you. I'm not happy with it. I still don't like you. I want to rule the universe. But in this case, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And basically just have it that he defeats Galvatron with Optimus, and then basically tells Optimus, okay, now it's time for you and I to have our battle, and we can once again decide who's the strongest. But I'm not going to lie, I did like the badass moment that we did get for the ending with Optimus taking on Galvatron, using Vector Prime's sword, which was really cool. And yeah, nothing's going to beat that ending. At least not for me anyway. That was a great ending. But still, I would have appreciated at least like a little additional story. I mean, you had Starscream go full megalomaniac, grow to giant size. Him and Galvatron get it on Giant Planet, only for Starscream to be obliterated into nothing, along with Sideways and Soundwave. The least you could have did was kind of give us a little side story with Megatron, kind of coming to grips with the fact that he is a Decepticon. He wants to rule the universe, but he's going to be damned if somebody else is going to do it instead of him. And that would have been a really cool idea. I mean, they kind of led into that further on, like years later with Powers of the Prime, when you had Megatron actually join the ragtag group of Cybertronians. I mean, I could just call them Transformers. Most of them were Autobots, though, which is basically the Autobots, to take down Megatronus. That was a really cool character development moment for Megatron. It's like, look, I was evil. I don't want to be evil anymore. I retired from being a Decepticon. I gave up leading them. There's nothing for me in this anymore. But I'll be damned if Megatronus is going to take over this galaxy. That'll be a cold day in Cybertronian hell. And I would have appreciated if they would have did something like that with Megatron and Cybertron. That would have been cool. But yeah, of course, you know, we can't get that. Because it literally followed the same formula that Armada and Energon had, where we're introduced to the characters, Megatron gets his power upgrade, Optimus will get his power upgrades, and then the two of them duke it out again. And then you have Energon. Megatron, you know, we're introduced to all the characters, Megatron comes back, Optimus gets more of a power upgrade, Megatron gets a power upgrade, they duke it out again. In this one, it literally ends with Megatron and Optimus duking it out again. I appreciate it, but a little bit of, you know, originality at the time would have probably been cool. But yeah, I know, hindsight's 20/20 and all, but still. But no, I loved the original Unicron Trilogy. That was one of my favorites. The toys from it were great. The plot lines on it were beautifully written, well done. Energon being the prime exception, in a way. But otherwise, I liked it. That was the original trilogy that I watched. I mean, prior to that, my first foray into Transformers was Beast Wars. And I love Beast Wars. Don't get me wrong. Beast Wars was great. Beast Machines blew. Yeah, Beast Machines sucked, but Beast Wars was my first foray into the Transformers universe. And I never really looked back. I kept going further and further. I mean, I saw the original movie. My uncle rented it for me at Blockbuster when I was little, so that was pretty cool. I did get to watch that. I loved it. In fact, I still love it. It's one of my favorite movies from the Transformers, but there's that. The fact that you have Optimus Prime and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. We got newer Transformers stuff always coming out. I appreciate it, what it brings to the table. I really do. I just wish we would have gotten some stuff better. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What was your favorite Transformers overall story arc? Were you a fan of the original G1? Did you like Beast Wars? Did you ever watch the original Unicron Trilogy? Or are you more of a newer age type of Transformers fan? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, this is Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Discusses. Bye, everybody.